This short video is to continue off of my first about how vaccinations work. This is to address some of the concerns parents have when tasked with choosing whether or not to vaccinate their children. From the time we are born, our bodies are forced to fight many microscopic invaders. It becomes a parent's decision whether or not to vaccinate their newborn in hopes of better protecting their child. The Center for Disease Control supplies a schedule for parents to understand when their child will be recommended to receive a certain vaccine. At first look at the schedule, it appears intimidating. With the first 15 months, an infant is subject to around 26 vaccinations. It is not uncommon for a parent to be concerned whether or not their child is receiving an overwhelming number of vaccinations for their body to handle. This is the misconception of immune overload. According to Dr. Paul Offit, a pediatrician who is the director of Vaccine Education Center of Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, as well as Maurice R. Hillman, professor of vaccinology and professor of pediatrics at the Perelman School of Medicine at the University of Pennsylvania, babies emerge from a relatively sterile environment in the womb into a world teeming with bacteria, viruses, and other microorganisms, and their immune systems are designed to stand up to these challenges from the start. This is stated in Science Daily's article, "Infant Immune System is Stronger Than Many Parents May Think." To look at basic human biology, most of your cells are constantly replenishing. This goes the same for immunological cells. When a vaccine is given to an infant, their fully working immune system is capable of responding while theoretically using up a very small fraction of their immune system. Again, according to Dr. Paul Offit, a baby's immune system is capable of handling up to 10,000 vaccinations at once, which will then be replaced by newly formed, fully functioning immune cells. The common analogy for this is that arguing that the vaccines an infant receives within the first couple years of life is like arguing that a tablespoon of water will overflow an Olympic-sized swimming pool. There are several ingredients found within vaccines that appear frightening and have a lot of controversy surrounding them. First, it is important to know the components of a vaccine. The antigens are a small piece of killed or weakened foreign body that are introduced into our bodies to form an immune response. The adjuvants are used to induce a greater immune response, such as enhancing the antibody production. The preservatives are added so that there is no contamination from other microbes and fungus that would grow in the vaccine otherwise. The stabilizers are used so that the vaccine won't degrade over time and increases its shelf life. Then finally, some cell culture medium residue might remain in the vaccine. According to the CDC, the amounts of additives are very small. For example, there's a large fear on two ingredients, aluminum and formaldehyde. Dr. Paul Offit has produced on the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia's site, only 4.4 milligrams of aluminum salt is given to an infant during its first 6 months, and an infant would receive at most 0.2 milligrams of formaldehyde in a dose. A baby being breastfed is exposed to 7 milligrams of aluminum, and more depending on the formula. But the aluminum is safely excreted from the body. The infant has roughly 1.1 milligrams of formaldehyde in circulation as well due to the natural production of formaldehyde in the human body. The FDA provides their reasoning as to why aluminum and formaldehyde are allowed in vaccinations. They state that aluminum enters our body mostly through food and water that we consume. As aluminum has been incorporated in vaccines for roughly 6 decades, its use has been found to be safe. Formaldehyde, again, is naturally produced in our bodies through basic functioning. The highest risk of any negative effects from formaldehyde come from inhaling the chemical when exposed during one's work. Another of the controversial ingredients was thimerosal. I say was because it's not used in the United States in most vaccines any longer due to the concerns people had. However, the compound contained the element ethylmercury, which unlike methylmercury, couldn't pass the blood-brain barrier. They're a completely different compound where the larger ethylmercury molecule is capable of easily passing through our bodies. The idea that the MMR vaccine caused autism was started back in 1998 by researcher Dr. Andrew Wakefield. His report in the highly regarded journal The Lancet struck fear in many. However, several years passed and his work ended up being retracted as the conclusions to his data was fraudulent and falsely interpreted. Many researchers today state that there is no evidence that vaccines cause any of the autism spectrum disorders. Some proof of this is how thimerosal was taken out of vaccines, yet rates still continue to climb. This can be seen as Dr. Lawrence Scahill and Dr. Karen Bears at Yale University determined through the increasing spectrum of the disorders in the DSM. Autism Speaks, the national advocate group for autism, even posts an article on their site April 20th of 2015, no MMR autism link in large study of vaccinated versus unvaccinated kids. When determining what is best for our children, the best a parent can do is to get informed. There are many today suffering from a disease that could have been possibly prevented through the use of vaccines, yet resistance seems to be growing. Although vaccines may not be 100% effective, they significantly reduce the potential of becoming ill. Vaccines are studied extensively to ensure safety and have been modified and adjusted to address any concerns over the course of roughly 100 years. Talk to your doctor, and they should be able to address any concerns, as more likely than not they are only there to help you.